Overnight leader David Carmichael went into the third round on fire after a red-hot round of 67 yesterday, but it wasn't to be his day. He dropped 5 strokes, including this on the 8th. Hot on Carmichael's heels was American Jim Schumann, who fired a 71. Sitting in 4th position going into round 3, Schumann was at times unlucky, but regained his composure. A stiff northeasterly blew in as the day wore on, creating havoc on the greens. Defending champion Byron Clarkson of Western Australia found himself playing short, as did Englishman David Haynes, shooting for par on the 17th. Clarkson was the best of round 3, shooting a 68. The best of the women was Lisa Newling of New South Wales, carding a 4 over 75 for the day and sitting 5th overall. The final round will be played tomorrow. Blake Doyle, NBN News. Play started today with Wallsend resuming at 4 for 138. A solid 211-run partnership between Greg Geese and Jason Bunt consolidated the innings, which was declared at 6 for 359. With first innings points going to Wallsend, Charlestown came out for batting practice, and practice they did. A short time ago, they were none for 105. Wallsend winning the match in fine form and back in the winner's circle. Meanwhile, more than 400 of Lake Macquarie's best junior athletes battled it out at Norm Johnson Oval in the Zone Championships. The Premier 15 Years Boys 400 metres event was won easily by up-and-coming Macquarie Shores sprinter Jared McMillan. Competitors contested field events today, including the under-15-year girls long jump and under-11 girls high jump. Macquarie Shores has once again dominated the event from East Lakes and Cardiff. Competitors as young as 7 years old are taking part in the 2-day event, proving the future of athletics is alive and well in the Hunter. The winner, Burketown Boy, paid $2.90 and $1.40. The Quinella paid $40.30. The trifecta a handy $366.40. Racing was also at Sandown. The feature event race 6 over 1,200 metres. The winner, Chief Havoc, paid $5.40 and $2. The Quinella $64.40. The trifecta $493.10.
The looks on their faces told the story this morning as children from the Stewart Special School at Valentine tested the new playground equipment. Costing $35,000, the project was jointly funded by Lake Macquarie Council and the state government. It's been designed to specifically suit the needs of disabled children, with a ramp giving wheelchair access to a large slide.
It's getting them used to using community facilities for a start, so hopefully that they'll be able to go to any park and be able to use the equipment. They just love being outside, and as you can see from their faces, they're really enjoying it.
The children helped plant shrubs to mark the opening. Stage 2 of the playground will provide an improved link to the other existing equipment. Emma Theossian, NBN News. More than 400 athletes from throughout the Upper Hunter converged on Singleton, competing in a variety of track and field events, the determination evident on their faces. After a march past led by the Singleton High School Marching Blues, the carnival was officially opened by the Mayor of Singleton, Neil McNamara. Held at Alroy Oval, the events included long and triple jumps, running and hurdles events. East Maitland won the overall point score, followed by Rutherford with Cessnock third and Singleton fourth. The winners of individual events will represent the Hunter at the Regional Championships in Coffs Harbour in February, where they will compete for a place in the State Championships. Emma Ossian, NBN News.
A who's who of the city's business people were on hand for the award, which recognises the contribution of a business to the prosperity of Newcastle. Since the award's inception in 1975, there's been a long line of distinguished winners, including Tomago Aluminium, BHP and the Newcastle Knights.
The recipient of the Newcastle Business Club Award for 1996 is Port Waratah Coal Services.
The award is the icing on the cake for Port Waratah Coal Services in one of the strongest periods of its 20-year history. July saw the completion of Stage 2 on Kooragang Island, lifting export capacity to 66 million tonnes. The go-ahead for Stage 3 was given last week, a $700 million expansion over the next 5 to 10 years. Management says there are busy times ahead. Blake Doyle, NBN News. Michael Flatley is used to flying high, so it was nothing new when he touched down today to begin a 6-show season. The Irish-born entertainer has broken box office records all around Australia, including Newcastle, where he sold 25,000 tickets, raking in just under $1.6 million in the process. Flatley arrived in Australia 2 months ago for 5 performances. His schedule blown out to a staggering 38 shows. And what does he do in between shows?
I've been out on a boat twice. I went swimming with the dolphins. Other than that, tomorrow I'm going to the beach for the first time since I got here, and I'm excited about that.
The Lord of the Dance extravaganza puts a modern twist on traditional forms of dance.
Very fast, hard-hitting, exciting shows. 90 minutes of fabulous lighting, sound, music and dance. The show is full of stars.
Flatley plans to party while in town and has this message.
Lock up your daughters, we're in town. Coming at ya.
The 46-year-old driver lay helpless as rescue workers tried to free him from the twisted wreck. Raymond Sutherland from Summerland Point had been travelling along the Summerland Road towards the Pacific Highway when his heavy vehicle failed to take a left-hand bend. The semi-trailer careered off the road and rolled onto its side, spilling tons of scrap metal. Worried family members and friends watched as ambulance workers tried to release the driver. In the end, a tow truck crane lifted the weight to enable the man to be released. Remarkably, he only suffered minor leg injuries and was released from the John Hunter Hospital early this afternoon. Vanessa Spark, NBN News.
For a small percentage of parents, the arrival of a newborn baby can quickly turn from a joyous event to an almost unbearable burden. For most, a visit to outpatient services can be enough, but for some, coping with a newborn can leave them physical and emotional wrecks.
Sleep deprived, exhausted, absolutely had it. Usually not relating to their partners because of the problem. It's all compounded and they need help.
Until now, it's meant a trip to Sydney to specialist hospitals offering what's known as Tresillian and Keratani treatment. However, the Christo Road Private Hospital is now offering the same services. Essentially, they involve giving mothers a break and training in methods to put them back in control rather than allowing baby to rule their lives.
We bring the mother and baby in, give mother time out to recover, sleep, and then we set a program in place to get the mother and baby back on track.
It takes between 1 and 3 days to undergo the programs. The service is not covered by Medicare. Phil Hind, NBN News. The Pacific Highway at Gateshead was a sea of leather, gleaming metal and cuddly toys as more than 1,500 bikers assembled for the ride into Newcastle. These are definitely rebels with a cause.
Last year, through what we done, we supplied 5 toys to every underprivileged child in Newcastle.
Sleigh bells were replaced by the roar of engines as the column of riders wound their way into the city. The parade stretched for several kilometres, blocking traffic but opening minds.
For the last 10 years, people, instead of looking and saying, look at them bikers doing something for the toy run, it's been, mate, they're doing something for the toy run, but they happen to be bikers, so we changed it, we turned it completely around.
The ride finished at Foreshore Park, where the Salvation Army was waiting, ready to receive the generosity of the biking community.
It says that people, no matter what area they work in or live in or whatever, are concerned about the needs of other people.
For their troubles, the bikers were treated to a sausage sizzle, but the real reward will be knowing that everyone will share in some Christmas cheer this festive season. Phil Hind, NBN News. The Melbourne Cup, it's not, but to dedicated enthusiasts, ferret racing is serious business and not without controversy at times.
You've got to at least have one or two protests during the day, otherwise it wouldn't be ferret racing, would it?
Owners and trainers from across the state made their way to the track behind the Hunter River Hotel for the highlight of the local racing calendar. However, Saintly wasn't able to emulate his Melbourne Cup winning namesake. And what makes a great racing ferret?
I like mine with a bit of bite in them, and they're good goers, and they're not bad, got a bit of go in them.
As a spectator sport, ferret racing also lacks a certain excitement, but talk of jazzing up the sport for television doesn't impress officials.
We can't run them through clear pipes because the ferrets actually will stop halfway.
The real winners today were people with disabilities, with all proceeds going to riding for the disabled at Raymond Terrace. Phil Hind, NBN News.
And the winner paid $8.40 and $2.80. Triple Crown paid $2.50 and $2.80 for Flying Canterbury. The Quinella $28.30. The Trifecta $345.40. Lifted was the unplaced favourite. Race 7 at Rose Hill was the festive quality handicap over 1,300 metres. Sherwood paid $14.80 and $3.60, the Quinella $55.60 and the Trifecta $528.40. The best at Eagle Farm in Brisbane today was the $75,000 Bank of Queensland Stakes. And handsome dividends for the winner. It paid $35.60 and $7 even. The Trifecta $2,071.90.
The proposed mine at this site in Fullerton replaces the company's operations at Stockton and Saltwater, which finished at the end of August. Following 4 years of extensive environmental studies, it was approved by Point Stevens Council in August, and work should have begun 2 weeks ago. But a legal challenge from local resident Bernadette Smith has put a stop to the development, which is now before the Land and Environment Court.
The area is set aside for public recreation and water conservation, and I don't see how sand mining is going to help in that goal of preserving the water supply and preserving the public's right to have space for recreation.
But BHP says only 13 hectares of the proposed 140 hectare site contains vegetation, with the rest sand dunes.
The mobile sand mass is moving extensively inland and covering about 1 hectare on average a year of the vegetated area. By mining this area, we have the opportunity to stabilise the dune, manage that dune movement.
Caught in the middle are the mine workers. If a decision isn't reached within the next 2 weeks, 16 will lose their jobs, with another 14 positions under threat.
We'll join the line, like everybody else. We'll go back to the end of the line and start again. And some of us can't afford that at our age.
The issue will go before the Land and Environment Court again on December 18th. Emma Ossian, NBN News.
The Eagles almost took the series against the Melbourne Monarchs on the weekend. It was 1-1 after Friday's games, and they almost took the points after a rain-interrupted match on Saturday. Needing to complete 5 innings for the match to be declared a game, the heavens opened up at the bottom of the 4th when the locals led 2-1.
3 outs away from winning that ball game, and the way we were playing, I think we were pretty confident that we were going to win it, even though it was a 1-run lead.
As the Newcastle-based players met for training this afternoon, Barclay was full of praise. He rates Melbourne as the toughest side in the league and says the Eagles' form over the last 2 weekends suggests the side can beat anyone in the competition.
Very cohesive unit, not relying on any one individual, just the whole team doing their job and moving runners around, scoring runners when we need to. It's a real good unit at the moment.
The busy schedule continues tomorrow night with the locals hosting Adelaide. The Giants have risen to 2nd place on the ladder, but will face a team brimming with confidence.
Oh, it's great, yeah. Everyone's getting on good together. Yeah, it's really good.
The 4-match series starts at 6 at Marathon Stadium, the second half of the draw to be completed on Wednesday. Jonathan Upton, NBN News. It was a crucial point in the game against Gippsland. The Breakers led 2-1 and looked certain to go further in front. Under the weight of possession, the visitors tried to put the brakes on the home side. One player in particular came in for attention, Harry James. That incident was followed by the big one. Charging towards the goal, the Breakers striker was brought down from behind. James was forced from the field with a suspected broken ankle. Replays suggest it may have been a send-off offence.
Well, I just want to speak to the officials at Soccer Australia and get some clarification of the interpretation of the rule. And, I want them to look at the tape and see if they feel the same as me.
James was in physio this afternoon, and while the broken ankle has been ruled out, he does have bad ligament tear and will be sidelined for at least 3 weeks.
I thought it would have been a send-off shot away after I got the foul, but obviously the referee didn't think so and gave the yellow card.
The professional foul rule states that if, in the opinion of the referee, an obvious opportunity to score a goal is impeded by an opponent, the offending player shall be sent off the field. The tackling rule is similar. A tackle from behind with little or no attempt to play the ball will result in the sending off of the offending player.
Harry was through, he was in a goal-scoring position, and their defender should have been sent off.
The injury to Harry James isn't the only concern for Breakers selectors. Also in physio, teammate Peter Ritchie. He has a cork thigh, but is still confident of being fit for the clash with Marconi Fairfield.
Took a bit of a knock, but should be okay. Missed training on Sunday, but yeah, I'll be back.
Jonathan Upton, NBN News.
The work bans are the result of an ongoing pay dispute. The academics want 15% over 2 years and have banned administrative duties, including the processing of student results, until an agreement is reached with university management. Another meeting of both sides is being held on Thursday to discuss the issue, but the feeling at the university is that an agreement is unlikely to be reached, with the stalemate continuing through until next year. Caught in the middle are the students, with thousands unlikely to receive their exam results before next year. Worst hit are the 4,000 due to graduate in April.
These are people like the 4,000 students who've actually completed their requirements for their awards and should be graduating and going out there and looking for a job. Well, we can't release the results, so that actually seriously disadvantages them.
A further 1,500 students have applied for transfer to other universities and want their results to complete the transfers. Others need their results in order to continue receiving Austudy payments.
In order to process Austudy, the Austudy department needs the statement of the student's academic record. Now, I've already had students come here to say, I need my statement now, otherwise I'll have to drop out.
Emma Siossian, NBN News.
It would appear the drink don't drive message isn't getting through to motorists. In the Northern Police region extending from Sydney's north to the Queensland border, alcohol-related accidents are up by 16% on last year. Count that with a 21% increase in drink driving charges, and there's cause for concern. Police are trying to turn the tide, enlisting the help of General Duties Police to nearly double the random breath testing patrol.
We're there, and if they want to take the risk, they will be caught. Their chances of now getting caught is now greater than it's ever been, and last weekend's police efforts, will just go to show that.
Last weekend, a drink driving blitz was held on the F3, and police say the results are appalling. One driver in every 246 tested was over the legal blood alcohol limit. Police say the community must change its attitude towards drink driving.
We are intelligence driven, solely intelligence driven, and we are doing the back streets, and we're targeting specific areas where our crash rates are up and where we know we have an alcohol problem related to driving.
Blake Doyle, NBN News. Industrial Relations Minister Jeff Shaw was out of Parliament and onto the shop floor today, seeing first-hand sweeping new workplace practices. The Sterling's Timber Company has introduced the practices in an industry crying out for safety measures. Workers in timber mills are 5 times more likely than those in other industries to be injured at work, with an accompanying annual compensation bill of $6 million. Key initiatives include the Cutting Edge in Safety Equipment, a saw that reduces injuries to hands and fingers and prevents inexperienced workers guiding wood over a blade.
I think other employers have a lot to learn from Sterling's in the cooperative way that they've introduced safety measures in their communication with the workers, and I think it's a real example in the timber industry.
The company's 200 workers are also part of a drug and alcohol program. Employees found under the influence are forced to stop work immediately and undergo counselling. The program, which has the full backing of unions, will be policed by a safety committee.
It will be their responsibility for determining whether somebody is under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
The practices are now being adopted in similar workplaces across New South Wales. While Maitland City Council has just resolved one major problem, it's literally being plagued by another. Feral cats are in plague proportions around some houses, irritating residents.
The other morning they were all in the lounge room and that nearly ripped the curtains off, and I had to put all ice cream cups and everything.
Every time you come, you've got to have your windows up in your car, or they'll get in your car. They'll, you pull up, you get out of your car and cats will just scatter everywhere.
Tired of waiting for council and the RSPCA to solve the problem, Patricia Lynch has taken matters into her own hands. She rounded up a box of feral felines and dumped them on Maitland Council. Patricia claims she's contacted the council a dozen times to catch the cats, but been told it's the RSPCA's responsibility. The RSPCA claims it's the council's problem.
That it is their problem, but all they keep saying is that it's not their problem, and we haven't even had anyone out here to have a look at all.
Council indicated an RSPCA inspector was due to assess the cat problem tomorrow. As to the fate of the kittens, they were put down by the RSPCA this afternoon. Blake Doyle, NBN News.
It looks like the bunny may finally have the last laugh. Newcastle's Beaumont Park track to close at the end of next June. The club has lost $500,000 in the last 5 years. The biggest problem, the TAB's decision in 1994 to cut back its full coverage to just 4 races. Since then, on-course turnover has dropped by 75%. But it's not a one-club race in the troubled financial stakes. The Minister for Racing, Richard Face, is concerned about the future of the industry in the Hunter.
He has asked his department, jointly with the Greyhound Racing and Control Board, to prepare a report on greyhound racing in the lower Hunter.
Those findings are expected early next year, but the race has already started over what to do with this prime piece of real estate in Broadmeadow. The owner, the Newcastle Jockey Club, has offered a 3-year free lease to the Greyhound Breeders Owners and Trainers Association. But that option appears unlikely. The best bet, the sale of the land for subdivision.
Greyhound racing would almost certainly lapse here after June 30, and then the board has to make a decision on how to dispose of it, and obviously selling Beaumont Park would appear to be the only option.
Richard O'Leary, NBN News. Three days in a luxury resort may sound like the perfect start to a new job, and well, it is. The Get to Know Each Other session is all about having a good time now, so hopefully the good results come later.
Probably the main reason for the few days is setting the team standards for probably the rest of the year and the years to come, and also a bit of a bonding thing, getting to know each other, getting to know the new guys a bit better under not only training circumstances but sitting around having a feed and a bit of a yarn, so it's good.
Robbie McCormack is one of the few familiar local faces in a team that has basically started from scratch.
Yeah, good, yeah. There hasn't been any fights or anything so far, so that's pretty good. So, no, everyone's going well.
Oh, very good, yeah. The team spirit's excellent, and, it's as if we've been together for, 10 years or so.
And although there were still a few reminders of their old clubs, the Mariners are confident of being a team in their own right by the start of the season. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.